Welcome to the Friday, March 17th, 2023 public meeting for the District Clemency Board. The first hour of the meeting will be open to the public from 10:30 to 11:30, and there will be no closed meeting today. Before we begin our meeting, I want to provide a reminder about housekeeping. Make sure your microphones are muted when you're not speaking. If you have any questions, hold them and we'll have a period for questions. However, feel free to take advantage of the chat function and send questions in. We'll happily address them during the question and answer portion of the meeting. Our staff director, Parisha Dixon, will not be with us today, but our former staff director, Christina Sacco, is back and has graciously agreed to take the mantle for the day. We welcome her back and thank her again for everything she's always done for us. I'll take attendance of the board to ensure that we have a quorum. We'll need 5 to have a quorum. So if I call your name, would you please let me know you're here by saying here. Felisa Carter.
Here.
Emily Gunston. I see you.
Here, sorry, I'm here.
Thank you. Brian Ferguson.
Here.
Indira Hennard.
Here.
Mike Porcello.
Here.
Katia Semyonova.
Here.
Ilana Suttenberg.
Here.
Great. So we have a quorum. We'll go ahead and start. The first item on our agenda is old business, and the first item under old business is the oversight hearing. So we had our first oversight hearing on March 1st, 2023. We had 2 public members testify about the board, Professor Olinda Moyd from American University and Professor Tiffany Smith from the University of the District of Columbia. Both Professor Moyd and Professor Smith had positive things to say about the Clemency Board's work, and we look forward to their continued engagement and accountability. I don't know, Mike, if you have any comments based on anything that you heard as a result of the hearing. That's your side of the house for sure.
I know I want to thank you all for joining us. I know, it's a first time is always a new and interesting lift. And, the council member found it a really productive and rewarding conversation. And we're looking forward to hearing from the Clemency Board each year moving forward.
Thank you for that. And we really do appreciate the public witnesses. Both had a lot of complimentary things to say, and we're really pleased with how we're moving along with it, particularly around the public outreach aspects of things these days. Okay, second old business item, access to Box. We're looking for a training date. So as you know, any applications and records we receive will be placed in your Box account for review. At the last meeting, we confirmed everyone's access to Box. Indira was the only person who had mentioned that she had some issue with accessing it. And can you confirm, Indira, that you do now have access to Box?
Still working on it. Hopefully to be done shortly, meaning today.
Okay, great, awesome. Yeah, we appreciate that. In addition to having access to Box, we also want to make sure that everyone can use it. And the functionality in it is really what's going to be the way that we are able to transmit documents in a secure manner. You'll hear a little later that we will soon begin our mock application and hearing process. We want to ensure that everyone is comfortable with using Box before we start going into a mock application. We'll have a Box training facilitated by Christina. We're hoping that March 24th at 10:30 a.m. would work for everyone. Is that a date, March 24th, which is a Friday? Next Friday.
Jack, sorry, Patrick. I presented that date and I'm no longer available at that date now. Would March 31st, the following Friday, work for everyone?
So March 31st, Friday, March 31st at 10:30?
It does not work for me. Yeah, I'm not available that day, but if others want to go for it without me, go ahead.
Others?
Available. Felisa.
Yeah, I'm available right now.
Okay.
Emily's available.
Katia, did I see you say no?
I'm also not available.
Okay.
I can.
Depending on how comfortable you are with Box, is that a system you are familiar with, Alana and
I haven't used it in years, but I didn't have a hard time with it. I was able to get into it. So okay. I can do my best and then reach out for more help.
Sure.
And sorry, I just missed it. Was this a training on Box? Because I don't think I'll need that because I'm not considering applications.
Yeah, it is a training on Box, so you probably don't.
So you don't need me.
Okay. And the only person I haven't heard from is Brian. I didn't hear if you responded.
Yes, I was on mute. I am available.
You're available. Okay, great. So Christina will go ahead and schedule March 31st at 10:30 for that
That's good.
training.
And Katya, I'm happy to do a one-off one with you at a time that works best.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So that is old business. Now new business. So I was hoping that Christina would kind of run through for us a series of updates from Parisha on outreach efforts and community engagement. You know, we've continued to engage with community members and local organizations in the space of reentry. And I had an excellent conversation with Indira as well about options and ideas she has about how we can also further that. So I know Parisha's been busy as in her new full-time role here. So Christina, can you just run us through the sort of things that she was able to do?
Sure. Yeah. Quite a few events of outreach have occurred. The first, or at least the earliest, was on Saturday, February 25th. Our staff director, Parisha, was invited to speak on behalf of the board at another record sealing workshop that was hosted by the district shadow congressional representative, Oye Owolewa. I hope I'm saying that right. And the Christian Legal Aid Society. It was a collaboration event. The event was held at the Dream Center located at Q Street in Southeast. It lasted about 4 hours. The event had a great turnout, and Parisha was not only able to speak with all attendees, but answer any questions and provide promotional material with information about the board, the application process, and information on where to contact and how to contact the board should you need to. She was also able to provide information with respect to the reference sheet that she drafted for potential applicants and community organizations who may encounter potential applicants, and understanding what the Clemency Board is and how it differs from the U.S. Pardon Attorney's Office, and requirements needed to qualify for the board to issue a letter of recommendation. And she indicates that you will see a draft of those 2 reference sheets in your email inboxes next week, and she would really appreciate that the board weigh in on its contents. Any questions about the first event?
I have a question, which is the record, the Clemency Board wasn't part of the record sealing aspect, or it was?
So I believe she attended a record sealing event and was able to speak about the board separately on as an invitee. Yeah.
I'm just wondering to what degree are the events wrapping in the Second Chance Amendment Act, which hasn't been funded yet, but has an effective date for some parts of it further out, and then other parts upon funding. So maybe that's separate, but I think it's also part of just kind of the information that the Clemency Board has.
Right. I'm not entirely sure, partly because I didn't attend, but I can certainly ask.
Just reach out. I'll ask her.
Okay. It's also good to know what should be discussed there, if anything. So
yeah, may I
I'll
just
make
ask? Excuse me, Christina. I'm sorry, Katya. Can I just ask, the Second Chance Amendment, will that have impact on the work of the Clemency Board directly?
You know, I don't think directly. It's but it's another record sealing provision. So as we get, it is a record sealing provision that isn't in effect yet. That's subject to funding. I think it's the Second Chance Amendment Act. I could be, I'm right. Alana's backing me up. The title, there were a bunch of bills, and then the one that actually moved, and then I'm just the title of the bill. But I think it affects our work in that, in addition to saying to residents, here's one avenue, here are the other avenues. I think it's important that the board understand the other avenues and tell residents the other avenues, in part because those avenues are more direct than getting a letter to the president for the pardon attorney, or to the pardon attorney for the presidential action. So in that sense, it is related to the board's work. Is that a roundabout answer to your question?
No, it's pretty good. Thank you.
It's not on, it doesn't affect the Clemency Board statute anyway. It's separate legislation.
but I think we're all starting to have an awareness of we are one of several remedies, and any chance anybody who's supporting a remedy gets to talk, if we make sure that people are aware of the full array of remedies, that's a better thing.
Right, exactly. So in that sense, very much so.
That's a good point, Katya. Thank you. I made a note for her to circle back on that and look into it.
Just,
Okay.
I don't know if this is highlighted, but because it's not funded, nothing in it actually can be used by anyone yet. So I think that we need to be realistic about what that means for people right now.
Right. But then we also should be having conversations as it's in budget season, so people know here's something that's not funded, but could be funded by the council and the mayor. And I'm not sure where it is. Maybe Mike knows sort of what the funding status of it is.
I mean, I don't have any updates on the funding status of it. I'll have to take a look as the mayor's budget proposal comes off. We don't get any insight into that until it's there. But yeah, there has been no change since last year on that front for funding.
All right. Any additional questions on the first event? Okay. All right. The next event that Parisha was able to attend was on March 8th. She met with Jamie Rodriguez, the chief of the Public Defenders Community Defenders Division, just to kind of learn more about the population they serve, resources they provide, and discuss similar barriers the Community Defender Division and the board faces in areas of outreach, education, and communication to the various target populations, especially for people in BOP and DOC facilities. And being in the field, PDS has a wealth of knowledge, and the board looks forward to continuing discussion, resource sharing, and helping to ease access to the clemency process for persons in the District of Columbia. And then lastly, on March 15th, Parisha and also Tanette Smith from our office, who's also another Associate General Counsel, attended the Department of Corrections and was able to get a tour of the DC jail. The primary goal of the meetings were to determine how the board can disseminate flyers or information to the reentry coordinators, as well as the persons housed within the facility, learn about technology capability within DOC and how the board could potentially access a DOC resident applicant for video sharing, and learn of possible barriers that could prevent a potential applicant from receiving communication from the board. From what I understand, that the visit went really well, and it seems as though each individual in a DOC facility has a particular tablet that they all have access to, and what included in that tablet is a library of information, in addition access to forms that they could possibly use for resources. And our goal would possibly be to get the clemency board form on there, the application, and then our resource information should that be a resource for someone in DOC. Any questions about the last two events? Okay, awesome. Parisha wanted you all to know that next week she would be meeting with Lisa Wayne, the Executive Director of the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and Vanessa Atun, also from the same organization, but in the Clemency Project area. And she's really excited about the meeting and many things to learn from them, and discussions of potential ways they can align efforts. So if any board members are interested in attending, to connect with Parisha about that. Okay. That's it on my end, Patrick. Turning it over to you unless there are any additional questions.
Any board members have questions? Yeah, I would say I had a great conversation with Indira a week ago about some ideas she has, and I forwarded those to Parisha as well. So she's going to start to chase down a few other places where we may be able to get access to other aspects of the reentry community to be able to really get the message out about what we're doing. So pleased to hear that. And Indira, I don't know if you wanted to comment on any of those.
I'm sorry, I feel like I'm having a brain freeze because there's so much in my brain.
Oh, sure.
Um,
So it was the
but
DC Bar Foundation,
yes, thank
DC
you.
Corrections,
Yes.
the Mayor's Office of Victim Services, and
Yes, so definitely just had ideas around connecting with the DC Bar Foundation as they play a critical role just in the legal aid community, and a lot of clients who come to them or come through their grantees, particularly on the reentry side. I think this will be beneficial for them as well. And then the Office of Victim Services and Justice Grants, they manage kind of two sides of the victim services. One is the victim services side, and then two is the justice grants, which primarily has all of the reentry grantees who are charged with bringing services to those who are re-entering society. So I thought that may be a good touch point as well. And then kind of doing kind of some grassroots outreach in terms of our churches and things like that.
yes. So when I mentioned those to Parisha, she was very enthusiastic about that. I think she wants to follow up with you about a few direct contacts, and you and I need to make it a date to reach out to one contact also. So I appreciate your enthusiasm and your energy around that. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really encourage any board member who has ideas about where we could be going to get the information and do outreach around this important activity. Let us know and we'll do the best we can to start to staff those things. You see already that there's been a lot of outreach happening, talking about our presence, our existence, and the application. We're finding that people are just hearing about the board for the first time, and these ongoing outreach and community engagement efforts, the board's continuing to receive inquiries. So we are now starting to actually get potential applicants, particularly located in BOP facilities, and their loved ones, and some returning citizens who are in the community. For instance, we've mailed 3 paper applications to persons in BOP facilities, and the real great thing is that we've responded to several new inquiries from via phone, mail, email, and CoorsLink, the BOP communication system. And having access to that has really opened sort of a floodgate of requests for information. CoorsLink seems to be working pretty effectively at this point for Persia, being able to both send and receive information to people. So we look forward to continuing this and receiving applications soon. One of the,
Real quick, Patrick, let me ask, has there been any outreach to, or is there an opportunity for us to speak with the RAN, the Reentry Action Network, which is the consortium of reentry service organizations in the city? I know that they have, I believe, monthly meetings, but it could be every 2 weeks. I'm not sure how they're running it now, but I think that's a concentration of folks that we should talk to. We talked about that before. I was just trying to see if that was an available option still.
Yeah, Brian, that's actually a part of Office of Victim Services and Justice Grants because they hold that space as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So that was, I don't know if the actual conversations happened, Brian, but I know that that is on Persia's radar. Maybe if she could follow up with you, or you could follow up with her, just to kind of give her your input about where's the most effective way to route to them. That would be helpful. But I know she's had some discussion about it. I know she recalled it from a conversation with you.
From my understanding, it hasn't occurred yet, but it's still for sure a possibility. And happy to flag it up to her as well as maybe another outreach option in addition to Indira's recommendations.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Christina.
Sure.
Thanks, Brian. You know, one of the things that has consistently been coming back has been there are persons who have federal charges and the confusion between the Clemency Board and the Pardon Attorney's authorities. You know, so really what she's ending up doing a lot of times with these inquiries is providing education on the roles and eligibility requirements that are provided, and then providing contact information and website for the U.S. Pardon Attorney's Office as frequently as we possibly can. We're a little bit concerned that we want to, be working hand in glove with the pardon attorney to the extent that ultimately their application has to be satisfied. We don't want to flood them with kind of pushing people that way, but we're trying to present them with as much information about their application process as well. So again, it's back to Katya's earlier point about any remedy that's available to people. We want to be able to, point to the best and most current information about that. And that's certainly a role that Harish is starting to fill routinely. Alana?
Just a point about the pardon attorney. I know, as everyone here is aware, that the pardon attorney did grant a pardon for marijuana possession offenses. Just wanted to make sure people were aware that they have an application now on their website. I can put that link to that in the chat, that people can directly submit an application to the pardon attorney for a pardon of marijuana possession, including in Superior Court.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great. Yeah, thank you. If you put it in the chat, we'll start to include that in our materials. Okay, anything else on application inquiries, common issues? Anybody have anything they want to ask about, or the application and records process? Okay. So as we said earlier in the meeting, we're going to do this mock application process to get us ready as a board to start to be able to work through the practical aspects of looking at documentation in an application, reviewing the application, the records packet, and how we'll actually facilitate discussion. And we'll do that in a mock hearing sort of way. But what this requires from the board is set aside some time outside of our regular meetings to engage in a review of the application, the hearing, and the overall process. We're hoping to have the materials in your box accounts within about a week. So within a week of the training, excuse me. So what will happen is it'll be like real life. You'll get a notification that there's an application for you to review in box, and then we'll go ahead and schedule the hearing of that information. And at that hearing, we'll actually review as if this were a real application. So what I was thinking about, I know that there are multiple requests for time, and I know that your time is at a premium. Everybody on this call is extremely busy, but you're going to get a few requests for time in the upcoming weeks. And what I'm really hoping is that people are able to, as quickly as possible, respond to those requests for, can you make this date sort of thing. I think they'll do it in a survey sort of format so that people have some options about that, but you are going to be getting some requests about that. And one of the things I was thinking about was where this is a quieter time, where we're still just at the point of trying to gather applications. The staff are doing a lot of the work around the community outreach stuff. And if we could spend some time on this mock application process, I think that would be really worthwhile for us. And what I would say in response to that is that we would then delay having our next public hearing until sometime in early May. So, I'm thinking about the 5th of May, perhaps at 10:30 as the next public hearing would have, but with the understanding that in April, there will be 1 or 2 opportunities for one, the review of how to use Box, secondly, the Box information and actually reviewing it, and then third, committing to a mock hearing date. So I don't want to do the mock hearing date necessarily on this call, but board members will be sent some options for proposed mock hearing dates. Does that work for people? Is there a better way? Is there anything else but anybody wants to say about it?
That's a good idea.
Thank you. Anybody else? I know when we first brought up the idea of a mock hearing, just in our own history as a board, the first time we had to review whether there was when there was an application pending before us, we immediately realized some of our process needed to be readjusted. And that was perfect. That was exactly how we work the kinks out. I want to do that ahead of an application process so that we're all comfortable with Box. We all are comfortable with how a hearing will go, and are just in the right frame of mind for that. So you will be getting some information about that next mock hearing. Christina, did I miss something there?
No, not at all. I think from what I understand, the information that you'll be using for a mock hearing is will be drafted and created by Parisha. So that will be just to kind of present and create scenarios where we may encounter with a potential applicant. So part of it is really just identifying procedures, what works, what doesn't, where are we seeing concerns, and how can we make it better.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other comments on that, or I can't see on my screen today whether or not there are other members who are members of the public on the call.
Professor Moyd was on, let me see if she's still on there. When we logged in, she was in. Yep.
I
Professor
am
Moyd is
here. Good
in.
morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I
There you are.
don't have any substantive comments, just wanted to type in regarding the issue that Brian raised. The Reentry Action Network now has meetings every other month, and they had a meeting earlier this week. The two contact folks who Parisha may have already connected with are Paula Thompson and Keisha Robinson.
Thank you for that. And you're in agreement that that's a good place for us to be engaging?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you again for your testimony at the hearing. I appreciate that very much.
You're very welcome.
It was a big shout out to the staff who have been behind this whole effort. And I know that Parisha and Christina were both called out directly. So really grateful for that. Thanks for making that point too.
Sure.
Okay. So if there are no other public comments, is there any discussion that anything the board wants to bring up? Okay. So I'm going to propose that the next meeting be on Friday, May 5th. Is that a date and time that's available for folks? Need a quorum.
That's good for me.
Okay. All right.
That's good for you, Lana.
Okay, great. So we'll plan on that Friday, May 5th, 10:30, with the understanding that we're going to have a mock hearing between now and then. That will be, a training day for us. So, and you'll get information about that in the next week or so. Okay, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. That's our fastest meeting ever.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
You too.